I was born April 23rd, 1813 in Brandon, Vermont, and named Stephen after my father. He died when I was only 3 months old and left my mother without a supportive figure. My father figure became my uncle, and we lived on his farm in Vermont. When I was 11, I discovered my idol, Andrew Jackson, the war hero. Many Vermont voters supported John Quincy Adams, but there was just something about Andrew Jackson. He wanted to expand the United States to the Pacific Ocean. I always wanted to see my country grow as vast as it could, so just like Jackson, I developed democratic principles. Manifest destiny. Manifest destiny. Manifest destiny. Law began to interest me as I approached 20, so I ventured west. Becoming a licensed lawyer in Illinois was much easier than in New England, and my mother didn't have much money to support me. It only took me 6 months for Illinois to admit me to the state bar, and shortly after, Illinois' legislature chose me to serve as the state's attorney for almost 2 years. During this time I met Lincoln. Even though he was a Whig, I still respected him and his prowess. That was until he started making mockery of my physical appearance. He was very cocky from the start, publicizing that I was
the least man he ever saw.
I thought I did get a leg up on him, though, when Van Buren appointed me to lead the land office in Illinois. I had to handle the details of the land sales. This got me thinking about National Congress, because my position was so short-lived once the Panic of 1837 hit. Sales almost instantaneously stopped. That was a crazy time. In '38, I ran against John Stuart, the U.S. Congressional seat from the 3rd District. He was Lincoln's law partner, and he had much criticism to say about me, too. Too bad it didn't actually deal with any issues, but, once again, my physical appearance. Lincoln would tell the public to
not even speak of me at all, because it was the best mode of treating such a small matter.
It was really a tough race, though, because the Panic of '37 really had people doubting the Democrats. I'd say the most memorable part, he's trying to strangle me and at my neck and was shaking me. It turned into a scuffle and he punched my open mouth. His fist stuck in there. Blood, lots of blood. I still lost the election, though. It was during that same time that I actually lived with old Mary Todd for a little. I always thought there was something between us, but she didn't. It still gave me something to rip on Lincoln for, though. Anyways, I'm not going to let him get me worked up right now. I finally made it to Capitol Hill in '43 as an Illinois congressman. The next 4 years were really focused on bringing Texas into the Union. You know me, all in favor of expansionism. But Mexico wasn't, for us at least. And then we went to war. And of course I just had to jump on that. We couldn't let that go. So then the problems started brewing. But, you know, you gotta win some, you gotta lose some. Then I finally won a Senate seat in '47 and still remain here today. I have a pretty responsible position as the chairman of the Committee on Territories in the Senate, and had it while I was in the House of Representatives too, which is awesome because it's been my true passion since childhood, admitting new states. Let's get as many states as we can. It wasn't all lollipops and rainbows though, since there was a constant fight over which states would become slave states and which states would become free soil states. I worked so hard to reduce the sectional division, but I just never got out of it anywhere close to what I put in. I even turned down a Mississippi plantation Martha's father tried giving me with 140 slaves on it. I didn't want that kind of publicity and hypocrisy under my reputation, but when he died, he left it to my wife anyways the next year. In-laws. 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 One of the legislations I partly orchestrated I saw blow up in my face was the Compromise of 1850. It definitely held the Union together until last year, a whole decade. I really thought it was my big break, and it was for a while, but the tension still grew. Sorry, I was thinking about my wife again. She died the next year, giving birth to our girl, who didn't make it either. Sorry. What was the next question? I was really distant and unproductive that year in the Senate. In '54, though, I bounced back with the Kansas-Nebraska Act. I sort of found solace in my politics. It was a great passion of mine, so it kept me going after those tragedies. Anyway, I was really into Cass's popular sovereignty idea and wanted to see that work, letting the new states decide slavery's place on their own by popular vote. Once I pushed that through, I thought I'd put abolition to bed for a little. Boy, was I wrong. I caused so much chaos in Kansas, started a bloody war. Kansas bled so much. Once Lecompton proposed their constitution, I smacked it down right away. The abolitionists didn't vote on it, they were misrepresented. Turning it down, though, really tore things apart. Literally, the Democrats split up, North and South. I really believe slavery was evil, because it turned people evil. But other than that, I don't care if they allowed slaves or if they didn't allow slaves. Only a few years ago, Lincoln tried to steal my Senate seat with something dramatic. That man really just could never leave me alone. He challenged me to 7 debates, and I couldn't decline. I'd lose my seat so easily looking so weak. We went all over Illinois. I had this huge cannon. It was so great. I would take it into every Illinois city I went into, and it was like my trademark boom. I would just set it off to let everyone know who was coming into town. At the first debate, I remember Lincoln trying so hard to justify blacks being just as equal as whites. No surprise I kept my Senate seat after that one. People really hated that one. People really did. Oh, yeah. I mean, of course I kept my Senate seat after that. No one wanted to hear that. That was ridiculous. But that man somehow still stole the presidency from me and got me. I was upset at first, but I've sort of got over it after my interests have really shifted to the Civil War. We got this war going, and he's really picked on me a lot over the last 20 years, and sometimes it just hits me. It just really gets me deep. All this stress and constant failure has really beaten me up. I haven't felt my best in a while. All I strived to do my whole life was to expand the United States, not divide it.